Hello, students. Welcome back again to our same section of the chapter. We were discussing that the sources of finance for a joint stock company. Now we are in the last phase of this chapter, and the last phase of the chapter is what about the borrowed funds. Okay, till now we have done or we have discussed regarding the internal sources of finance. Now, internal sources of finance, that means what? Like issue of shares, both equity shares, preference shares, plowing back of profit, issue of bonus shares, sweat equity shares. These all were what? Internal sources of financing. Okay. Today we are going to see about the external sources of finances. External sources. In this, the most vital one is debentures. So, debenture is a capital market instrument. Okay, debenture is a capital market instrument which is used to raise medium or long term funds from the public. That means capital market instrument. Debenture is a capital market instrument which is utilized or which is used to raise what? The medium term as well as the long term funds from the public. So a debenture is essentially, you can say, is what? It's a debt instrument that acknowledges a loan to the company. Okay, and it is executed under the common seal of the company. Debentures generally comes with a very fixed rate of interest. That means in a debenture, the rate of interest is mentioned very clearly, and the interest is paid to the debenture holders before any dividend is paid to the shareholders. Now, you know what is a dividend? Dividend is a part of the profit which is given to the shareholders. That is the profit which is distributed among the shareholder is called what? Dividend. So before the distribution of the dividend, before the dividend is being distributed, okay, the debenture holders, they get what? Interest at the fixed rate. So debentures are offered to the public for subscription. In the same way, like the shares are issued for public subscription. Now shares are issued, both equity shares are issued, preference shares are issued for what? Public subscription. So debentures are also issued for what? Public subscription. If you see the accounting process of debenture as well as the share, more or less the accounting process is same. Okay, the more or less the accounting process is same. Generally, the basic difference is what? Debenture is a borrowed form of fund, whereas the share is the own sources of fund. Now, debentures is a debt instrument, as I told you earlier, and it is secured by mortgaging any assets or charging any asset. Debentures are issued after charging any assets. Such charge may be either fixed or floating charges may be there. That means the charges of debentures may be what? Fixed or floating. Now, debenture is a document under the common seal of the company which provides what? Payment of the principal sum and interest thereon at a regular interval of time. You can say debenture is a bond via which the company raises the fund. Okay, and after certain period of time, the principal amount along with the interest is given back to the debenture holders. The people who hold the debentures are called what? Debenture holders. They are called what? Debenture holders. So, debenture is one of the means of raising fund generally by the company, where the company is more reliable in raising the fund from the borrowed sources, where the company is not going to give any profit, where the company is not going to distribute any dividend, and the company where is fixed to pay what? Certain amount of interest. Then the company issues what? Debentures, where the rate of interest is fixed and the amount of interest which is going to the debenture holder is fixed. So instead of raising the fund from the own sources, the company raises the fund via the borrowed sources, and that is what debenture is all about. Now, if you talk about the features of debentures, now debentures, the first feature of debenture is what? Debenture is a debt instrument. It is a debt instrument, and secondly, debentures are redeemed after a fixed interval of time, or you can say after a fixed period of time. Interval of time means what? Some debentures are redeemed on a lot basis. Suppose the company has 5,000 debentures, 1,000 will be redeemed this year, next year 1,000. That means the debentures are redeemed by drawing by the lots. Okay, but the debentures are redeemed by the company because debenture is a form of loan. Debenture is a form of what? Loan. Then debenture holders generally do not enjoy any voting rights. Like the shareholders, they have the voting rights in the company. One share, one vote concept is there, whereas the debenture holders, they don't have any kind of voting rights. Debenture holders are just the lenders of the company. Okay, and they don't have any voting right. They don't participate in the management of the company. The only thing, they are bothered about their interest. Yes, if their interest is not satisfied, if they are not paid the interest on a regular interval of time, then they can charge the company. Else, they don't say anything into the internal matters of the company. Then comes debentures, may be either secured or unsecured debentures. These are the basic features of what? Debentures. These are the basic features of debentures. Okay. Now, added to the features of debentures, you can add more things here. Okay. Debentures can be issued at what? Par, premium or discount. Par, premium or discount. That means what? Debentures, generally the nominal value of debenture is say 100 rupees. When the debentures are issued at 100 rupees, that it is going to be said at what? Par. When more than 100 the company is taking, then that is going to be called as what? Issued at premium. And when it is reduced from 100, say 90 rupees, the company is taking, the 10% is going to be called as what? Discount. That means debentures, unlike shares, debentures can be issued at par and premium, but shares cannot be issued at discount. Okay. The newly shares cannot be, the fresh issue of the shares cannot take place at a discount as per the Companies Act of 2013. Whereas the debentures can be issued at what? Discount. This is the basic difference between the issue of shares and debentures. Debentures may or may not be listed. Debentures may or may not be listed in the stock exchange. At the stock exchange, the debentures may be or may not be listed. Okay. They can either be placed privately or offered for public subscription. Yes, private subscriptions are also there. Public subscriptions are also there. Now, if you see the advantages of debentures from the company's perspective, if you see the advantages of debenture, debenture is a source of long-term fund for a company. That means the moment the company is issuing debentures, it is going to be a medium-term or a long-term finance for the company. It is going to stay as a long-term or a medium-term loan. The interest on debenture is a tax deducting expenses, and hence the effective cost of debenture is lower. The effective cost of the debenture is what? Lower. Debenture holders do not enjoy any voting rights, so they don't interfere into the internal management of the company. This is one of the plus point from the company's point of view, because debenture holders, they don't have any control over the business. They don't have any control over the business. That means there is no dilution of control. Like the shareholders, they have the control over the business because they have what? The voting rights. One share, there is a one voting right. Now, benefit of levering on equity. Levering on equity means what? Which can be increased the earning per share. That means when you are using the borrowed funds, that means when you are using the fund from the debentures, you know how much interest you are going to pay. That means with that amount of fund, you can generate higher amount of profit. And if you pay less interest in compared to the profit, the major portion of the profit will remain in the hands of the company, and it is going to be given to the shareholders in the forms of dividend. That means what? The borrowed fund is going to generate higher profit, and a fixed amount is going to be paid in the form of what? Interest. So maximum portion of the profit will be there for the distribution among the shareholders. So the earning per share increases. Now, from the debenture holders' point of view, debenture holders, they get what? The fixed rate of interest. They get a stable source of income from the company. They get a stable source of income from the company. Now, equity shareholders, when they are investing in equity shares, they may get the dividend, they may not get the dividend. But the debenture holders, they are bound to get interest from the company, because interest is a charge against the profit. Whether the company earns profit or not, but the interest has to be paid to the debenture holders. Debenture holders are the creditors. So, at the time of winding up of the company, when the company is being winded up at that time, the debenture holders are going to be paid first, and then the equity shareholders' repayments are going to be done. Interest on debenture is payable even there is a loss for the company. This is a major plus point from the debenture holders' point of view. That means even the company is suffering a loss, debenture holders are eligible, or you can say legally, they have the right to get what? The interest. Now, drawbacks are always there. Debenture holders, disadvantages, debenture holders, they prove certain disadvantages to the company too. Now, cost of raising fund. That means the fund which is raised via issue of debenture, the legal expenses, the high stamp duty charges are there. The cost of financing through issue of debenture is very high. The fixed interest charge and repayment of principal amount on maturity is a big burden for a company many a times, because in the year when the debentures are going to be redeemed, at that year may the company has suffered a huge loss, but the repayment has to be done. So that becomes a burden for the company. Company may not be able to raise further loan against assets. Suppose you have mortgaged certain assets, you have charged certain assets, and you have issued a debenture. That assets cannot be charged again to raise the loan from other sources. Now, borrowing from bank and other financial institution becomes very difficult, because the credit worthiness of the company is at a stake, or you can say the credit worthiness of the company is low due to the debt issue. Debenture is a debt instrument, as I said. Already it proves that the company has taken loan from the public. Already it proves that the company has raised fund via issue of debenture, that is a source of borrowed fund. So the credit worthiness of the company goes down. Then drawbacks from the debenture holders point of view, interest on debenture is fully taxable. This is the biggest drawback. Suppose a person invests in a debenture, okay, and the interest is generated from there and he gets certain interest from there. That interest is chargeable under the income tax law. There is no deduction from that interest. As per the slab, you have to pay the interest. Debenture holders, they do not carry any voting rights, so no control over the company's affairs. No control over the company's affairs. They don't enjoy the right to control the company. This is a drawback. Okay. Then comes there is an uncertainty regarding what? The redemption of debentures. Yes, many a times it is found that company is not in the position to redeem the debenture. The company postponed the redemption from year after year. Though the interest is paid, but the redemption is postponed from year after year. So this is also a what? A big drawback for a company. Now, kinds of debentures. There are different kinds of debentures on the basis of repayment. Redeemable debentures are there, irredeemable debentures are there. Redeemable debentures are those debentures which are going to be redeemed after a certain period of time. Okay, after a certain period of time, the debentures are going to be redeemed. Irredeemable debentures are those debentures which are not going to be redeemed. They are permanent in nature. They are permanent in nature. Permanent in the nature in the sense they are paid back only in the event the company is getting winding up. Okay, the winding up of the company, at that time only the payment is done. Now, on the basis of security, naked debentures, that is unsecured debentures are there. These debentures are unsecured in the nature. In other words, it means what? They do not have any security of any assets of the company. They don't have any security of any assets of the company. That is why they are called what? Unsecured debentures. And secured debentures are those debentures which are what? Issued after charging the assets. That means the assets are kept as a security and amount equal to that is issued in the forms of debentures. On the basis of transferability, registered debentures are there, bearer debentures are there. That means company maintains records of debenture holders. The company maintains the records of the debenture holder. Whenever the debentures are transferred, the records of the companies are updated. The ownership transfers, the change in the ownership is there. So, registered debentures are there, bearer debentures are there. That means there is no transferability, a mere delivery from one person to another person. It goes, okay, and there is no need of registration of transfer in the company's record. So that is that type of debentures are called what? Bearer debenture. Whoever holds, he has the right to get the interest. Then comes on the basis of conversion, convertible debentures are there, non-convertible debentures are there. Convertible debentures are those debentures which can be fully or partly convertible into another debentures or into equity shares, you can say. Non-convertible debentures are those debentures which are not going to be converted into another kind of debentures or equity shares. On the basis of interest rate, fixed rate debentures are there. That means the debentures that carries the fixed rate of interest, that means the interest rate is prefixed. And then comes what? Floating rate debentures. Floating rate debentures, that means the interest rate keeps on changing as per the company's norms. Then you have zero coupon bonds. There is no interest rate specified on these debentures. Zero coupon bonds. The interest rate is not specified on these debentures. So this is what all about what? Different kinds of debentures. This is all about what? Different kinds of debentures. Next in this section we are going to have what? Loan from commercial banks. See, in a joint stock company, you know, finance is the backbone of any company. Finance is the backbone of any company. Funds are needed to run a company. Okay, so funds can be raised from the own sources or funds can be raised from the borrowed sources. Okay, so funds which are raised from the own sources are what? Equity shares, preference shares, bonus issues, plowing back of profits, right issues, right equity shares, and funds which are raised from the borrowed sources. In that, it was first one was what? Debenture. The first one was what? Debenture. Okay. Now in the upcoming sections, we are going to see loan from commercial banks. Then we are going to see the loan from financial institutions, lease financing, short-term sources of finances. Okay. Till then, thank you.